are. My name is Lori Ann Spagna. For those of you who may not know me, I help visionaries and leaders to get in touch with their own union and connection with the divine, their own intuitive gifts, talents, and abilities, and to learn to work with energy and metaphysical tools so that they can improve the quality of their lives and really fulfill their highest divine mission and purpose on earth, really come into their alignment with the divine so they can make the global impact and live their highest fulfillment, and so that they can start to live really free from the pain and suffering that we've experienced in the old paradigm, whether it's stress, struggle, imposter syndrome, overworking, overdoing, whatever it is you've been going through. That's the stuff we resolve. And also so that people who have businesses and service and contribution in the world can really utilize the energy and tools of the divine, the metaphysical tools, their divine intuition, their higher knowing, their gnosis within, their clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, all of their gifts, talents, and abilities to really serve better, to contribute greater, to work less with more grace and ease, and to expand your offerings into the world so you can be of service and make the impact that you're here to make and leave the legacy you're here to leave. So thank you so much for being here. And by the way, I also love working with the animals and helping animals because, of course, as many of you know, the animals have a major role to play in God's plan of lighted creation. And that's really what it's all about these days, is really about us coming into alignment with our roles in God's plan of lighted creation. That's really what this is all about. Now, I want to talk a little bit about 2024 and really making the impact that you're here to make, making the contribution you're here to make, coming into alignment with your divine gifts, talents, and abilities, and really coming into alignment with your source, right? For you, and whatever your role is in God's plan of lighted creation, however you're doing that and meant to do that. And that is you being the best version of yourself. That is you living the life you're meant to live, not one with struggle, strain, overwork, overstress, overworry. It's one where you're so divinely aligned that you start walking in the realms of certainty, divine confidence, because you know that you're aligned with what you're here to do and who you're here to be. And you're living in accordance with your most benevolent, best life path and trajectory. And you're having the experience where you're making such a significant contribution, and you know that you're here for that. You start living free from the worry and the doubt and the concern. You start living in that space of divine certainty, divine confidence, divine courage, divine gnosis, self-knowing, and self-led leadership and guidance in partnership and union with the divine. Yeah. All of your gifts, talents, abilities that are your superhuman. I'm not talking human gifts. I'm talking extrasensory gifts. They start awakening and coming online naturally and organically. And you're really reclaiming your power, your divine power to live in accordance with your role in God's plan of lighted creation. So that's what we're here to talk about. And we're here to talk about it for the year ahead specifically. So let's start with this first. Let's get this clear, right? We are merging and unifying into a new paradigm. Do you guys know what that new paradigm is called? What it's about? Give me a yes. Give me a yes in the chat. Can you? For those of you who are on the live call with me. Let me open up my chat options so I can see you guys better. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So for a lot of people, we don't always know what the new paradigm is, but it's a whole new way of living and being. And that new paradigm is based in consciousness and energy. And it's based in a whole new frequency bandwidth of energy that is overall uplifting and positive and expansive, right? And it's about service to the greater good of all with harm to none. Those are basic fundamental tenets. So you have to know in that new paradigm, basically, that it exists and that it's available for you. And it is, but you also have to be continuously working energetically and in consciousness to up level yourself and to make the shift energetically so that you start aligning with this new paradigm. It's not somewhere out there. It's that you change internally to shift into this new paradigm. And the way you change internally, again, is through energy and consciousness shifting your own inner vibration. Now, a lot of people, when they talk about their own inner vibration, give me a yes in the chat if you know what it means to shift your vibration and to change your vibration or to up-level your vibration. Give me a yes in the chat if this makes sense to you. In truth, what it really means is you're healing and resolving unconscious patterns within yourself that you have likely carried for lifetimes. You're unconscious of them, and their patterns, energetic vibrations, and ways of being, behaving, thinking, and operating, believing, and ways of emoting that are stuck in some degree of pain or suffering or lack or limitation, some form of unconsciousness that has been troubling to you, or that maybe you're not even aware of. Most people aren't. You don't realize that you're playing small. So let me give some examples here to make more sense of this for everyone. Let's say you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or you have some kind of business that you're trying to make successful, or maybe you have some kind of not-for-profit organization, or maybe you're just working in a world where you're trying to be of service in a better way, however or wherever, in whatever way you're serving and contributing. And maybe it's just in your family and home. That's okay too. And let's say you're trying to accomplish something, and you're trying to think about how you're going to accomplish it. So maybe it's how you're going to make a new offer to your community, or maybe it's how you're going to reach a new community, or maybe it's how you're going to get your service out there in a better way. Maybe it's how you're going to manifest and materialize new clients or new revenues for your business or your income or your not-for-profit. Or maybe it's how you're going to manifest and materialize a new love interest or new friendship or new community. It doesn't matter. You have something, you want to get it out there, even if what you want to get out there is yourself. And you're over analyzing. You're trying to think, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And you don't realize there's a part of your consciousness that already has the answer. So you're struggling. And this struggle might seem normal to you if you're a business entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or you're out there in some kind of work environment, or you're just trying to meet someone on the web, the dating web, or something like that, right? You think you don't have the answer. And so you're trying to figure it out. And your natural default, because this is what humans do, is to use the left brain. And this is a struggle, trying to figure it out. Here's how this will manifest: headaches. The body will, neck aches, neck problems, for example, can't figure it out. It will also manifest as some form of emotional struggle or stress. You get stressed, you come home, you have an argument with your spouse or partner, or you feel like you can't see eye to eye with the people in your family, or you're having challenges or struggles communicating. So you're working through this, and it seems normal. It's not like it's really that out of the ordinary in human life. This is just one example, by the way. So old paradigm, there's this struggle, right? And it shows up in the body as headache. Maybe you think it's normal to have a headache, or it shows up in the body as a neck ache, and maybe you think that's normal too, or it shows up as back pain because you're feeling unsupported, or it shows up as conflict in the home environment, or it shows up as miscommunications. Maybe if you have a team that you're working with, a virtual assistant or a boss or a colleague, you're not able to communicate it clearly. These are the ways it shows up in the old paradigm. All of that is some degree of stress or anxiety. And it's because our human consciousness is over relying on the reptilian or the right brain and the reptilian brainstem, and not connecting left brain, right brain, heart center. This is just one example. In new paradigm, by working with energy and consciousness, by learning how to utilize our divine gifts and our connection with source, it becomes incredibly easy to allow the answers that we need to come through and express into our consciousness, either through some form of clairvoyance, claircognizance, which is clear knowing, clairsentience, which is clear feeling, clairaudience, which is clear healing, some form of awareness, or through some divine intuition or gut knowing or gut feeling, or possibly just through energetic right action, right alignment, and positive upliftment, something that is overall inspiring. Like last night, I was just inspired. I was like, oh my God, it's the holidays. I want to help people to prepare for the year ahead. So this is what I'm talking about. Old paradigm, new paradigm, and how we shift and change is that we start to realize the ways the old paradigm and operating has been blocking us and or hindering us and or causing us challenges. We start to recognize there's a new and better way, and we start to realize that the energetic shift has to change within us because we are the ones who are operating, behaving, thinking, believing in ways that are no longer serving us. And so the healing process I'm referring to is a way of shifting who we are at the core level, the fundamental root of who we are. Now, energetically, that shift happens by working. This is it. There's 5 main things. Let's go over them. Number 1, we have to change the mental plane. A lot of people are mindset coaches out there. That's what they're working with. They can only work on the mental plane. That's only 1/5 of the big picture. So the mental plane includes what we think, what we believe, what we perceive, our judgments, our opinions, our perspectives, our ideologies, everything on the mental plane. Please know that this is only a teeny fraction of energetically shifting and also of raising your vibration, right? So this is part of the healing process. I call this healing because I'm a healer, because if we don't change the mental plane, mindset shifting alone is not enough. It's simply not enough. It simply won't do it. But it is an important and necessary part of it, because if we're walking around the world in our life thinking, this doesn't work for me, I can't figure it out, I don't know, it's not possible for me, oh, everything's so hard, oh, everything's such a struggle, I don't know how to do that. These are all limiting beliefs that we carry. These are just a few. Some more examples of limiting beliefs might include, that's just not something I've ever been taught, or money comes hard to me, or I don't know how to make money, or I'm stuck in this form of unhealth, or here's some health ones. I have an allergy. I've had this allergy my whole life, or diabetes runs in my family, or I'm bound to get breast cancer because all my lineage has got them, or I can't quit the addiction of sugar, or I can't stop watching TV. These are all things on the mental plane that we believe about ourselves and we make true in our reality because we believe them. And these are just some examples. We could go on and on and on. We could go on and on and on, because every belief that we have, every belief system, everything we think, we have not learned how to challenge them. We have not learned how to redefine them. Now, good mindset coaches can help with this. But again, this is only 1/5 of the picture. Not enough. So for me, mindset shifting is the easiest thing. In my Sacred Visionary Mentorship, I'm clearing it, I'm healing it, resolving it for people like that, and helping them up-level their vibrational frequency on the mental plane. But again, only one thing. And by the way, every time we shift and change beliefs, one of the biggest ones on planet Earth, by the way, is that people aren't safe. They don't feel safe. People don't feel safe in the world. They don't feel safe in their environments. Some people don't feel safe in their own home. I mean, they don't feel safe in the world. They don't know where the next outbreak is going to happen, or the next hurricane, or the next tornado, or the next whatever it is. People don't feel safe even with God. They don't know how to trust God, because a lot of people even believe that God's a punishing God, right? And a lot of us don't even know if we have this in our unconscious. Lots of it's in our unconscious, and we're not in touch with that because we haven't learned how to work with our mental plane, our belief systems, etc., on the mental plane. So again, 1/5 of the piece, not the whole piece. We have to work on changing those, and we have to work on shifting them. Safety is one of the big examples. Another one is lovability. People don't feel loved. They don't think they're lovable. They don't know that they're lovable. They don't know how to feel lovable or how to be lovable or how to experience themselves as lovable. They don't know how to change that belief because it's so deeply ingrained. And remember, what mindset coaches aren't usually able to do is they're not able to change things that are from other lifetimes because they can't work. They're only working on the mental plane. The mental plane is linked into other lifetimes, but to get to things in other lifetimes, parallel existences, you have to go way beyond the mental plane. That's why if you are someone who's worked with your mental plane, if you have worked with it over and over again, that is why you very often feel like it hasn't worked, even though you've been working with the mental plane. Even if you have changed and shifted mindset and it hasn't worked for you, it's likely because it's linked deeper than that. This is why I go way deeper than the surface level. Let's talk about the next one. The next layer that you have to address is your emotions. Now, the emotional body is rarely dealt with in our reality. And the emotional body energetically has much more density or strength to it. Even though a thought can trigger an emotion in a linear way, a thought or a belief will trigger an emotion. Like if I say to you, ice cream right now, and you like ice cream, some part of you will light up. Some part of your dopamine in your brain will light up. You'll get a little happier. You saw it in me because you saw my smile. It happened automatically because a thought can trigger an emotion. I got a little happy, right? At the same time, there's a part of me that has an unconscious belief, semi-conscious, that's not a very conscious belief that it's not healthy for me, but an unconscious, semi-conscious that I really don't want to eat it because it's not really that healthy. So that triggers a schism in my field, right? Possibly in yours too. That makes you say, oh, but I don't really want to like it, but I don't really want it. That schism creates a misalignment in our energy field. So we don't even yet understand how emotions work and affect us. I can give some more examples about emotions on a very superficial level, but we go way deeper in the work that I do. Superficial emotions. I like this. I don't like this. I'm angry about this. Let me say it this way. People are carrying unconscious resentments, angers, hurts, emotional wounding patterns. We've been hurt, we've been betrayed, we've been lied to. We've all experienced these things in our lives. We've been taken advantage of us. False authorities have been attempting to control us. We're starting to wake up about how that's not okay, whether that authority is a doctor, a teacher, a parent, a government official, your own boss, your own sibling or spouse. It's all people in our world. The false authority could even be a misunderstanding of what or who God really is. We could have a difficult relationship with God. So these all trigger emotional wounding patterns in us that we are both conscious of and unconscious of, and that they need to be healed and resolved. We have to work with these emotional patterns. We may be people who emotionally feel, upset or hurt or wounded in some way that we are attempting to work with. Maybe we are attempting to do forgiveness patterns or, to bring in forgiveness or forgive ourselves or others. But sometimes that's not enough. If you've worked on forgiveness and you still have some kind of lingering resentment or upset or trauma about something, that means it's deeper than that too, right? So again, these are just the first two. And a lot of the emotional stuff we're still very unconscious about, because let's say we feel an emotion. Let's say we are angry. Let's just use that one, angry or resentful or bitter about something, maybe something that happened in our life that we're not happy or fulfilled about, right? Maybe we're carrying that. We don't realize how that's affecting us. Anger, when left unresolved, will show up in your life as, let's say you're angry about something you didn't achieve or somehow how you've been held back. That pattern will block you and stop you and hinder you from really achieving your highest fulfillment, from really living your highest and best life. That anger, if really left unchecked, will show up in the body as various forms of dis-ease, including cancers and all kinds of other ill health, right? So anger is just one example of an emotion. In my program in the Sacred Visionary, we learn how to utilize our emotions as guidance, to understand that they can be utilized for our most benevolent best. And then we utilize them even further to neutralize them so they no longer have power over us. And so that we start maturing our emotional body so that they don't control us. But we first have to start identifying all of the emotions that humans are so largely unconscious of. And even if we are conscious of them, such as an anger type of emotion, because that's hard to be unconscious about, but there's the subtle energies, emotion of feeling disempowered, the emotion of feeling like life is just not on your side, or the emotion of feeling like, you're just burnt out. You've been in so much struggle for so long. Those are heavy emotions. Or maybe there's the emotion of feeling depleted. That's a little lighter. Or maybe there's just the emotion of feeling anxious or worried. There's a lot of fear-based emotions. Those are all fear-based for the most part. I don't know, if it's safe, that's linked to safety. So all of these things are emotional components that go way below and deeper than just the surface level emotions that we experience. And again, can very easily be linked into other lifetimes, right? So when that happens, if we don't heal and resolve them and transform them, we're stuck with them and they become operating in our reality. That is the energy of our field. Now, this brings me to number 3, energy. You have to learn how to work with energy. Most people don't understand even what energy is or how it's affecting them. But let me make this clear. The energy of anger and resentment is like this, something like this. The energy of joy is like this. The energy of happiness is like this, right? These energies are different vibrational frequencies in our bandwidth, in our energy field. They're emanating in, through, and around us. And they're affecting us. They're affecting our animals. Because animals are energy vamps. And all the animals feel and speak a language of energy. So they're feeling it in our environment. Our home gets affected. The land and the neighbors where we live get affected. We can have challenges with neighbors. We can have challenges with people in relationships because of our energy. We can have challenges with money because of our energy. Of course, we can have challenges with our physical health because of our energy. We can have challenges in the world around us. And when I say the land around us, when you're in the energy of love and peace, the land around you is going to support you. You're not going to be in a physical environment, honestly, where an earthquake is going to affect you personally. You're not going to be in an environment when your energy is stable and secure, where there's a sinkhole. You're not going to be in the energy where a tornado comes through and your house is affected. I promise you, I have gone through this for so many years. Tornadoes that have come through here, hurricanes that have come through, pass by my community. I've seen it not just in this community, where communities right next door, such as I live down the street from one of Trump's homes in Florida, one of his communities, his community was completely wiped out. I'm next door and my community was safe. This has happened over and over again. I've seen it in New York in my parents' house where I did work. You cannot understand the power of energy and how to use it and how it will protect you and keep you safe. Now, I'll give you another example. Let's say you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, and you're doing all the work in a strategic way that you're being told to by your coach, business mentor, or whomever you're working with. And they're telling you, do this step, do this step, do this step. And you put all the strategy in place, but your energy is based somehow in fear, worry, or anxiety or doubt. Is it going to work? Or how do I do this? Or I'm not sure. Your campaign, your promotion will not do nearly as good. I recently did a campaign and a promotion in a business mentorship program my results 10x'd everybody else's. And, because it's a kind of what I call a 3D, somewhat old paradigm, although they're really open to this stuff. I'm not in there as a teacher, although I often share this stuff, but they're wondering, most of the people in there are wondering and struggling with the strategy and how to have the results that they want, because they don't yet really understand the concepts of energy and the tools. One of the things I teach in the mentorship is how to use energy to work that energy in and through all of your activities so that your life gets so much easier, so much more graceful. And so that the goals, dreams, and desires that you have really are sprinkled with the energy of the divine. And that's what the divine wants for you and for the people that you serve and contribute to. But once you learn how to work with that energy, not only does it start shifting you mentally, it starts shifting you emotionally, and it starts shifting you physically. It starts shifting, and here's number 4, the external experience. So we've got the mental plane you have to work with, the emotional plane, I call it plane, field of energy, of consciousness around you, the energetic plane, which is internal and external. Let me just say a couple more things before I go to the external reality. Number 4 on energy is that when you're working with energy, when you start learning how to work with energy, not only will your physical health begin to improve, and will your emotional health begin to improve, and will your mental health, but you will start to be more and more happy, fulfilled, and rewarded in your life. Because your energy, this is why people want to raise their vibration, even though most of them really don't understand what that really means and how to really do it. Because in the very early stages for early level people learning about energy and raising their vibration, their idea is, and I completely agree with this, but their idea is just to go out in nature. And that is one of the things, but that's not enough. That's not really enough. Or their idea is to listen to nice music. And that is very helpful. I teach that too, but it's not enough. It's still very surface level solution. Or their idea is to get a massage or some Reiki healing. And those things are very good. I'm not denying that, but it's still very surface level. You have to learn how to cultivate energy, how to use it. I even teach on a lot of my retreats and energy groups in the Sacred Visionary, how to build energy, how to use energy, how to send it through the energetic system. We build energy balls. We throw it in through our own system. We work to bring ourselves into alignment with the divine, the infinite source, through the use of energy, and also how to work with all of our divine team in the non-physical. Okay. So I could go on about this, but I'll pause there for now. Energy is number 3. The 4th is we have to work with the physical world, which is the circumstances of our life, because our circumstances in our life are effects of who we are. The thing is, most humans and many coaches believe that circumstances come first. They believe that circumstances come first. So what the world has taught you, that the circumstances in your life, in the external world, that you are at the effect. Notice I didn't lead with circumstance, because you're not at the effect of your circumstances. You are actually the cause. This is a very challenging concept. So, for example, when somebody says that they have an allergy, many of you may have heard me say this before, they believe that the allergy, that they are at the effect of the very thing they're allergic to. That's ridiculous. That's just not true. But our reality has taught us that we are. Another great example is a virus. That's a circumstance in the world, and you're at the effect of it. Be scared, be aware, take precautions, without understanding that the internal change is what's going to change the external experience. So the circumstances we have to work with, because there are some cases where circumstances of the reality that we live in are providing us opportunity for change. A virus is a good example. A job, getting fired from a job, for example, is a good example. Losing a client is a good example. Having money challenges is a good example. However, those examples are there for your learning, growth, and evolution. They are not because you are a victim or you are at the effect of them. They are there for you to work with and to learn to transform. So we have to learn how to deal with the external world and how to shift ourselves energetically and in consciousness with how we work with and interact with the circumstances of our environment, and how we transform through inner empowerment, energy, and consciousness shifting, mental, emotional, energetic, how we shift and change the experience of our external world. So the circumstances of our lives no longer control us, but rather we become, for more and more, the change agents of the circumstances of our lives. We become the creators, the conscious co-creators with the divine, so that the experiences we have change and shift, so that the circumstances change and shift. So anywhere in your life, I would love to hear from you now, if you would, in the side chat, anywhere in your life where there are circumstances of your life that you are discontent with, please, will you put them in the chat so I can better help, right? What are the circumstances in your life that you maybe are not so happy or thrilled about? For some of you, it's going to be physical health issues. For some of you, it's going to be financial. For some of you, it's going to be relationships with humans. Maybe for some of you, it'll be career related or work related or vocation related, right? But these circumstances will and can change for your betterment and to your liking, with practice and application and the healing process, which I'm talking about here now. So we understand that's for circumstances. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the fifth one. By the way, let me also include in circumstances that with regard to the circumstances, dealing with the external reality, there's kind of two offshoots, or even three, but one I was going to put in a total different category, but is that we have to, with the circumstances, we have to understand that circumstances are also linked in, as all of these columns are, to our own energetic and spiritual growth and evolution. So I'm going to treat that more as a sixth category, even though I said five. Let's go to the fifth category first. So the fifth category is what we call our actions and our behaviors. So, for example, our actions and our behaviors in this world have to be completely realigned and changed, the way we act and behave. We have been told all kinds of ways of acting and behaving that really are not for our highest and best. They're just not aligned with our most benevolent best, right? And I'll come to you, Marianne, because I want to address that. I love that you put that. Thank you for putting that in the comments, because if you put it in the comments, that can help, right? But let me just stay with these points, and then I'm going to get to, any kind of questions and support I can give based on your comments in there. So the fifth one is our behaviors. Sometimes we have certain behaviors that we just don't realize that they're harmful or detrimental to us. So a great example of behaviors that we have is, for example, in our everyday activities, while we're walking, for example, we may be thinking, doing, believing, behaving in certain ways. Here's a better example. Our behaviors. Let's say you're writing an email to somebody, and as you write the email to somebody, you're writing the words love and light, but your energy is saying F you. And you're not rightly aligned between thought, deed, and action. The action is I'm writing an email. The thought is I'm going to say it nicely. The energy is F you. I'm pissed off at you, right? That's a misalignment energetically, but the behavior that you're doing is not appropriate in the right time and space. Because if you're angry or upset, it's not the right time to write the email anyway. That's just one example. How actions, we have to change our actions. A great example, I know someone here on the call and so in our sacred mentorship is where our actions are that we want to, for example, let's say we want to help and be of service, and we want to do the right thing that we think is the right thing. This is a good one. I've worked with a lot of people like this. We want to be love, and we want to forgive, and we want to be kind. And in so doing, we let people abuse us, treat us harmfully, walk all over us, take advantage of us, be cruel to us. We allow unhealthy behaviors in our lives. We may put ourselves, for another example, here's another example where actions and behaviors are not rightly aligned. You make an agreement with somebody. Let's say the agreement is, I'm going to give you a testimonial in exchange for a class or something like that. And then you change your agreement and you don't honor your agreement because now 2 days later, you don't need to anymore. You got the class. I've had that happen to me a gazillion times. I would give and then people would renege. I most recently did that with somebody I've done that lots of times with people. I would offer them a gifted class or a gifted retreat, and then they would renege and they either wouldn't show up or they wouldn't deliver, or they'd come to the retreat and they didn't honor their agreement to be of service the way they were meant to, something like that, right? That's a lack of integrity. That's misbehaviors, misalignments. We have to look at our behaviors. Let's say another thing, you sit behind the TV every night. You really want to write a book. You really want to start your business. You really want to get your website done. You really want to get that launch materials completed. But instead you're like, I'm just going to go out today and have fun. No problem. Or you really want to do the energy work, but you're in resistance and somehow, and you take some other action, right? This is a misalignment. So we have to work on our behaviors, because why do we self-sabotage? Why are we kids in a candy store? Why do we have FOMO? Right? Like I had another client, one of my client students, she really wanted to succeed in her business and career. And yet she was taking cross-country vacations and traveling around the world on a motorcycle. And she was doing a million things with her hands in different buckets, kid in a candy store, here, there, and everywhere. Not rightly focused, not rightly aligned. Her behaviors were not supporting. So in the area of circumstances and behaviors, there's overlap, but all of these things, we can see they all overlap if we're not taking right and appropriate action. And usually there's an unconscious pattern in there. Another great example of right action. You want to drop pounds, you want to lose weight. Okay. And yet you're eating the ice cream, and yet you are still not going to the gym. Why is there a misalignment? What is energetically in the unconscious that is blocking? Because if it was just about free will, if it was only willpower, you'd do it. There's a misalignment with the actions and the behaviors. If we don't look at that and take responsibility for that part, that misalignment will block and or hinder us from living our best life, from having our highest, from aligning with our highest trajectory, from achieving our highest fulfillment, and from living in accordance with our soul's most benevolent best life path. And really, it'll block us from making the impact we want to make and from being of service and contribution in the world in the way we're meant to. So we have to take right action. But if something is blocking us or stopping us, that usually we're unconscious of, right? Why do you watch TV every night if what you really want to be doing is writing your book? Why don't you go to the gym if what you really want is to be healthy and thin? Something unconsciously blocking. So we need to work on our behaviors too and our right actions. Why do we say we love everybody and want to be all love and light if we're actually being kind of cruel sometimes, or sending not so nice messages, or silently holding some kind of anger, grudge, or resentment, and that we can pick it up through the emails, right? All these things are self-sabotaging patterns, or, maybe we have imposter syndrome, or whatever it is. There are ways we block and hinder ourselves and hold ourselves back in terms of way we behave and right actions. Yeah, just examples. Okay, so now those are our 5 key ways, and I'm going to add one more 6th one, which really encompasses all of them. is really, it's our spiritual alignment. It's really understanding the soul's agenda. So the soul has an agenda. And this is what mindset coaches do not understand. This is even what most energy workers, if they are like a Reiki master, they don't necessarily understand it. Or if they are working with EFT or tapping, which is a form of energy work, it is a, or even if you're doing any kind of like muscle testing or dowsing, there's just, if you don't understand the soul's agenda, you're kind of screwed as far as I'm concerned, because that soul's agenda will take priority, whether you know it or not. And this is what most of humans don't understand, that if there's something that the soul wants to heal or resolve or transform in this lifetime, we can call this karmic and dharmic patterns. We could call it, yes, you could call it karma, but it's more than that too, because it's not like a punishment. Not that karma is. In truth, karma is not a punishment. It is a desire of the soul. And the soul, is part of you, right? The wholeness of who you are is much more than a human. You're not a brain. You are not your brain. You are not only just your identity. You're so much more. You're a multidimensional being that goes way beyond your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your belief systems, your behaviors, your energy field, and even beyond just the soul. You're more than a soul. But the soul within you, because you are a soul, but you're more than a soul, just a soul. You are a human, but you're more than just a human. This soul wants to resolve and address certain things, and the soul wants to expand, evolve, up level, and grow, and through transformation. So the soul's agenda is the most important number one thing to understand. I can't even believe I didn't list it as number one, but it wasn't in my initial. It comes through, so it's meant to come through. That's why in my sacred visionary, that's one of the first things I do, is I look at every single person's numerology, because you can see it in your numerology, part of it, not all of it. You can see it in your astrology. I look at all of the major indicators in their astrology. And then when I'm working with them over time, we start to know it over and over, more and more. We see the patterns of what the soul is desiring. And until the soul is fulfilled and really understands that the issues are resolved, the soul is relentless. This is why people oftentimes feel like they've been working on something for years and years and years with very little headway, because the soul will not allow you to progress in certain areas, whether it's physical health or some other area. That's why sometimes we feel stuck and blocked in something that we've worked so hard on, because the soul is still waiting. And this is held, by the way, this information is held and available to us within what we could call our karmic records, and also is available for us within our energetic blueprint and in our Akashic records. All of these things are things I teach and work with inside the sacred mentorship with people, because it's not a 5-minute thing to figure it out, but it is definitely available, and it's way below the surface level solutions that most of humanity is attempting to utilize right now. This just isn't working for humans, right? By the way, when I say the one thing I did kind of leave out, but I included in the circumstances, actions, and behaviors, it's the physical world we live in, right? That's oftentimes referred to as 3D. If you're a conscious, evolving human, you get that terminology, but it's the physical world we live in. And all of the unresolved issues ultimately do show up in the physical world. That's why transformation happens from within. Okay. So does everybody understand these now 6 core reasons of what we have to bring together? It sounds complicated. It's not that complicated, but it does require us. It requires us to participate. It's not something we can passively, listen to podcasts and think that's going to solve it. It's not something we can left brain our way through. It's not something we can analyze our way through. It's not something we can figure out or read in a book. That's old paradigm. That's not the whole of it, right? This new paradigm requires, in order for us to raise our vibration, which is what we've been talking about, and make this transformation, the work is inner, The external world changes as a result of our internal change. And the internal changes are through these 6 core ways: mental, emotional, energetic, circumstantial, and action and behavior, and spiritual karmic. Yes? Let me say one other piece about this too, is that when we're talking about spiritual and karmic, a major contributing factor in this arena is working with the various beings in the non-physical who we know as angels, angel guides, ascended masters, archangels, the higher realms in the non-physical who truly, truly serve the light. And there is a big, huge span here of all kinds of beings in the non-physical. I only work with beings who serve the light. I'm very clear about that. That's all that's in my energy field. I have learned over many, many years now, many, many years, how to ensure that that's what I'm doing. And that doesn't mean that beings who are shadow beings don't come across my path sometimes. They just have no power over me. Very easy and clear, easy for me to clear them. Shadow beings, you heard them as entities, demonics, when people have voices in their head, schizophrenia, when people, usually a suicide, addiction, people have entities and demonics around them. Any kind of addiction patterns, that's usually influences from the non-physical. We don't go down that. It's not that we're not afraid to deal with that. I can easily deal with that in all of my circles, but it's just not, it's not even necessary because they really can't get into our bandwidth and frequency. Regardless of that, that's part of the whole spiritual realm. We have to know how to work with the beings in the non-physical. We have to understand because we are much more than physical beings. So working with beings who are of the light, angels, angel guides, benevolent beings from the non-physical realm, ascended masters, divine goddesses who are ascended masters in female energetic embodiment, even though they're not physically embodied. Star family races could be included in there if you're familiar with them. Loved ones who have transitioned potentially could be included in there, although not always. Depends on their unique soul's journey. Animal companions who either have transitioned or even just their higher self. You can't even imagine how much our animal companions can share so much wisdom, even while they're embodied, because they have a soul's agenda, a higher self, higher knowledge and wisdom in partnership and collaboration with you. They're human, right? So all these beings in the non-physical, that's part of that team that's the team. By the way, you can also work with the nature realms. There's so many beings. Trees have wisdom and guidance. I mean, it's unlimited potential. Crystals, the crystalline kingdom, the crystalline realms. So we start working with those beings as well, and many others, as long as, and provided that, in my opinion, that they serve the light. And that means that they are serving the expansion of your consciousness rather than attempting to contract or keep you stuck or limited or have power or control or dominion over you. That is beings who serve the dark. Okay, and there's beings in the middle too who serve the balance, but that's another conversation for another time. So I hope this all makes sense. And if this is jiving with you, if you could please just give me a yes, right? We're a pretty small group here actually, because I really didn't promote this much. It was very impromptu, but thank you, Therese. Anyone else? Are you guys following me? Yeah, everyone with me? Okay, thanks, Marianne. All right, good. So let me just make this point, and then I'm going to address some of the comments in the chat. What is most important to make this energetic shifting, which does not happen overnight, and I've said this many, many times, it is not a pill, it doesn't happen in a minute. What is really required to make this energetic shifting is to not only do this inner work and work with these aspects, but to recognize that this is part of a healing journey. So it's part of a healing journey that we're all on, that we all undertake to do individually, but we are here to help and serve and support one another in the process. That's part of God's plan, that all humans shall come together to serve, support, and assist one another for the betterment of all. That is part of God's plan for lighted creation. You start to know God's plan more and more, the more and more you work with beings who are of the light, who serve the light, because that's what they share with us, which, by the way, if you didn't see last week, I did a DNA on 1212. I did a 1212 codes of the 1212 codes of light DNA activations. Working with the DNA is part of working with our energy fields. That is gifted inside of the Facebook group, inside of my Facebook pages. So make sure you get that. It'll also be on my YouTube, actually, launched this week. So make sure you get that activation. And at the very end, impromptu, had no idea this was going to happen, but Mother Mary came through and shared about in a really clear channel about the future year ahead, some of what we could expect and how to navigate. Really good quality, great stuff. So please make sure you see that. So, because that's a big part of what I do too, is channeling these beings in the non-physical and letting them speak to us for our benefit as we're growing and evolving and shifting. But this is what's required. The healing journey is the transformation that we go through. It is a process. And the second part of what is required that I was going to say is that we have to take action. And when I say action, it means active participation. It is not just something we can learn about. I said this already, but just to emphasize this, by listening to podcasts or reading a book or left braining it, this is not, left brain is way too limited of a tool. We have to start using our entire energetic. So way more than just left brain learning. We have to actively participate in healings, in activations, in transmissions, in meditations, in energy work, in journaling is part of it. The left brain is involved. That's a left brain thing. Journaling, the physical body's involved. We have to bring ourselves to environments, whether it's through the internet, through circles on the internet, or physically. We have to put ourselves in right environments, healing circles, meditations, retreats, physical spaces in nature, lots of things we have to do to make this shift, but it requires our participation. Sitting behind the TV or listening to podcasts is not enough. So there's a lot of deep work, and that's why this process is not an overnight process for humanity. It is well underway, but it will continue over the next 10 to 15 years, and there will be radical transformation for humanity. And as people choose it and participate, that will accelerate it and make it easier for others who are not yet aware. This has already been happening. But for those who are not choosing it, life gets harder and harder. We saw this in the year 2020. We're seeing it now financially. A lot of people, if they're having financial issues, it's the bigger your issues, the harder the issues get. It's the more of the new paradigm type of work, the more healing, energetic, and transformational work is needed and required. Okay. Hope this makes sense. All right, good. So let me look at some of the questions here. So Marianne. Okay, so Marianne, it sounds like you're saying you feel stuck and you're trying to move forward and sell your house and wanting to know where you go. So this is physical location stuff. I'm wondering, Marianne, if you could put into the chat. I don't know that this necessarily matters, but let me just tune in for you first. Okay. So first and foremost, what you need to get, Marianne, and this is going to help everybody, is that the energetics of relocation and moving and selling your house is what you want to work with first. The intention, intention is where the mental, the emotional, the energetic, and right action come into alignment. You just intend. So let's start with selling your house, since that's what you kind of indicated first. You want to find a right buyer who is going to love that house and who has the money to financially afford that house and who wants to who loves and adores that house and can afford that house, right? That's really what you want, a right buyer, and potentially even more than one potential right buyer. So this is your first desire, right? If you're wanting to sell the house. So you have to create that in the non-physical realm. And you don't know who the right buyer is. We never, ever try to directly influence any particular human. That is black magic. That is usurping their free will. That is not okay. But someone out there in the planet of 7.5 or 8 billion people, there is at least one right buyer and likely more for your house. So, number one is setting the intention. This is my desire and intention that this right buyer comes to me now in perfect divine way and in accordance with God's divine perfection. That languaging alone, getting clear, this is what your desire and intention is. Now, when you get clear on that, then you can ask, and the way I do it, I teach people to do it with energy, but you can do it with prayer request. And the prayer request is just a breath, a relaxing, and just asking. It's not a pleading, it's a request. I'm asking for divine support and assistance from the beings of light who serve and support and assist me in accordance with my role in God's plan of light of creation, that I may sell this house, to go forth and find that or those people, whomever they are, who are rightly aligned for this desire and intention. It's not you who does that. You're working with the team in the higher realms. You see, this is part of what I teach and do. Teach you how to work with them, but you ask for beings for support. And of course, there has to be a shifting of energy, because if the old energy is, I feel stuck, I feel blocked. Marianne, what does that feel like in your body? Stuck and blocked. This is what it feels like, right? Something like this. And it's the breath of it. And my knees are locked up. My body's locked up. And the breath gets shallow. And the heart just can't really expand and beat as much, right? And the tension and the stress and the constriction, right? Because when we feel blocked and stuck, this is what's happening to us to some degree or another. So energetically, you have to start practicing expanding and allowing more of the divine light to flow in and through us. Now, this is something, again, I work on with my groups and in my sacred visionary, but, breath work can help with that. All kinds of various tools in the metaphysical can help, but various practices. So whatever practice you have, because I don't think I know you, Marianne, but you need to start expanding, right? That's why I'm all into this expansion and up leveling your field so you can allow more of that light to come through you so that you can be more rightly aligned. Because what does it feel like, conversely, to you to have sold your house? Now, in a parallel reality, that's already done. What does that feel like to your body and being? How can you expand yourself into allowing more of that to already be? I will tell you that one of the energies to be working with is gratitude to the team that you just lovingly requested their divine support and assistance with, as I just stated. So breathing in and accepting in the energy of gratitude for the beings who are responding to your request to go forward and find that right person or those right people for you on your behalf for this house. All right, so you have to shift and expand your energy out of the contraction and into that expansion and that up-leveled experience. Breath will help. Knowing that these beings respond, that's divine certainty, will certainly help. Gratitude will help other energies as well. So you practice being the energetic frequency of the one who has already sold her house, because that version of you exists already in a parallel reality at a higher or pure frequency. The house is sold to someone who loves. By the way, another tool we use, because I use metaphysical tools, I've worked with people who have tried to sell their houses, right? I had one client many years ago. It was a downed economy. She wanted to sell her house. Houses weren't selling. We manifested a bidding war for her. And within, I think it was less than 30 days, it could have been even shorter than that, but it was a very short window of time. It was not more than a month because we had 4 sessions and they were every week at that time. Her house was sold and she had a bidding war. That's amazing. So you can have this, right? But this is part of manifestation, learning how to manifest. You can do this, right? But you're working with the higher realms to make it so. Shifting your own energy, giving gratitude for the support and assistance, and energetically aligning with that version of you who has already sold her house. Not directly influencing any one individual, not trying to persuade or control or dominate. That is very big no-no. Okay, so far, Marianne, is this making sense? Is this helpful? There's more. There's always more. Okay. You with me? And give me a thumbs up so I can know? Yes. No? Now that's an interesting response. Oh, geez. Why is that the response that you would get? That sounds like not sure where I'm going. Okay, but let's pause here. We're not even at the where you are going. We are at the selling of your house. Yeah? Are you with me? Right. It scares you because you're playing in the game of fear. Been here so long. I get it. Right. So you have to learn how it's not even learning through the left brain. This is an even deeper level, right? So dealing with fear and how to navigate fear is part of the issue too. Right. So the question has already shifted because now all the fears come up. And in addition to your fears, you're talking about something that felt safe to you because some part of you does not want, it's clear now that you just added those last 2 comments. You always felt safe here, been here so long. So part of why you're not selling your house is because you really unconsciously don't want to. I mean, it's very clear to me. Unconsciously, you don't want to because you felt safe. Is it possible for you? And so then we get into the mental. Is it, so you feel that you have to sell the house? Is that right? Why are you selling if you don't want to? Yeah, I'm hearing that you feel that you have to, and I'm hearing that it's financial, but tell me if that's accurate. Yes, you're saying yes. Right. So in truth, this is okay. So, but you feel that you have to, is that correct? You feel that you have to sell the house? And for what reason? If you're willing to tell me. But there is lack. There's some form of lack there that is making you feel that way. Are you willing to say? Ah, okay. So you're in conflict. You have inner conflict. You want to move to the country. You feel like you have to. So this discord in your energy field is what we call a constriction contraction, a push pull. You're not aligned with what you really want. You say you want to sell it, but you don't really want to sell it. That contraction, which by the way, I'd be willing to bet there's an 8 in your life path, but I am not exactly sure what your birthday is. If you want to plug that in, you can. But this contraction is what's causing the problem for you because you're not rightly aligned. Can you see? You say you want one thing, but you're emotionally contracted. There's all kinds of fear. I mean, when you say scares me, and there's all kinds of resistance because you always felt safe here. You don't yet know that there's something potentially better for you, but you're aware there's something, you said, in the country that could be better for you. All of this discord is causing the problem. Yeah, you're in the 8 life path. She just said, yeah, I know the numbers really well. So I usually can peg someone's numbers within five minutes of talking to them. So the thing is that all of this, by the way, 8 life path, that's contraction, expansion, right? And it's self-worth, self-value, and it's linked to money. I'm sure there are financial factors involved, even though you said not really financial. I am sure there are financial influences affecting you to some degree or another in this. So all of this in your field, Marianne, is what you are wrestling with. And it's what the circumstances in your life are presenting to you so that you're, yes, financial to some degree. So now you validated what I got because I know I was right. I know I was right. Not to be right. I'm not trying to play the right game, but I know what I know. I'm a really good psychic. I'm a really clear knower. So I was hearing that and yes. Anyway, so, okay, because it helps me to help you better, right? For my own certainty, because it helps me to help you better. So the point is all of these things in your field are in great discordance and they're not aligned. And your experience, the struggle, the uncertainty, the lack of clarity, and the fear that's coming up, and the lack of the sense of unsafety, all of these issues have to be addressed. This is why I say surface level solutions don't work, because how long have you been going through this? How long has this one particular issue with the house been building? Because it's not even at a climax yet. And I don't even have your astrology, but I know you're being influenced by Pluto. 6 months or less. Okay, but I would say that the reason for your desire to move started way before 6 months. The want and desire and need for the country. For what is, you want more spaciousness, you want more peace, calm, quiet, whatever that is. Right. So you're saying yes. So way longer than 6 months. It's that you were not paying attention. You were not, I'm not making you wrong. I'm just helping you to see how this is culminated so that because you can't resolve it until you become conscious of it. This is what people aren't conscious. They don't realize how this stuff is affecting them. It builds, it builds, it builds, it amplifies, it amplifies, it amplifies. It gets so intense. They get stuck and blocked because they're not taking right and appropriate action. Why? Because they're not rightly aligned. So this misalignment causes all kinds of chaos, drama, upset, struggle, and yes, challenges with fear and anxiety and worry, and your word scares you, and now it's a safety issue. It's a safety issue. All of these issues have to be addressed. In some cases, you don't have to necessarily address them one by one if we can get to the root of it, which the root of it has to do with your sense of worth and value, self-worth, self-value. Hold on. And it has to do with you understanding how to work with energy, because an 8 in the life path is that the person is meant to learn how to define the difference between contraction. Think of the cross in an 8, right? Contraction and expansion. So it's an energetic lesson for you. Now, when we can get to the root of it, the other things start to lift off much easier, Marianne. So your job, going back to when I was giving you what I felt was awesome feedback about the how-to of selling the house, it's clear that the how-to was still too surface level for you, because it wasn't like, oh, wow, this is so great and helpful to me. Thank you. Which is the appropriate response whenever somebody offers you help, by the way. I'm not lecturing you, I'm just saying, because I help people all the time. It always astounds me when people don't recognize that, right? I mean, I'm in coaching circles, even where I coach people in a business mentorship, and I offer them stuff that's like out there. And the first response should always be gratitude. The angels teach me this. The animals teach us this. The first response, thank you. And can we go deeper? Thank you. And there's more. But regardless of that, because the moment you go to gratitude, things get lifted. But regardless of that, because your initial response was, oh, geez, we had to go deeper. The surface level wasn't enough. So deeper is the issues of fear, the issues of safety. Deeper than that, the issues of self-worth, the issues of self-value. Deeper than that, learning how to work with energy so that you're not stuck in the contraction, which is where you've been for 6 months. 6 months of being in a highly contracted state. That's crazy. You're not meant to be there like that. Getting out of that contraction and into the expansion. The expansion is where you're not hindered by fear. You're not being scared. You're not in a sense of, I'm safe here, but I won't be safe there. Let me let you know something. Safety comes from within. Safety is energetic. All right, this is the healing work that I do. Downloads, clearings, vibrational shifting. I'm just asking my guidance something on this. Okay, so far, does all this make sense, Marianne? You're on the hot seat today, but lucky you. Lucky you. Okay, and there's another comment in there that says, also government does not allow new Hido. Hido? I'm not sure what that is, Hido. But yeah, so government, there you go with an 8 in your life path, false authority. So the government is a false authority. God is your authority. I'm not telling you to go against the government. I'm just saying God always finds ways. God has every solution. When we are rightly aligned with God, the divine spirit, however you relate to that divine source, doors open where it seemed that there was only a no and shut doors. So the government can tell you no, but God will open a new door and find a new solution because it always happens, always, but not when you give your power to a false authority. So this is all part of the 8 path, learning how to give your true authority, the 8 in the life path, once you discover who is the true authority of your life. The true authority of your life is you in alignment with your source, God Creator. And God Creator will create and provide to you an open door, a new window, a new potential that is rightly aligned, doesn't go against the government, just suddenly reveals some new system that opens something else or shows something better, some other possibility or some other potential. It won't be in contradiction for you. It'll be rightly aligned. Doesn't mean you have to go against a government authority or break a law. It means some new potential will reveal itself, or suddenly a new law gets passed, or some new governance or something that you didn't know about, or some loophole or something. So this is all what you're meant to be addressing and resolving. I know, this is not the ultimate solution for you, but this is a lot of clarity and guidance for you. I suggest you listen to this in replay. I will get it onto Facebook in the expansion experience. And if you're not already in the email list, I'm going to send it out to my email list too. So make sure you are. If you have money issues, let me give you this really nice free gift. It's LoriSpagna.com/free gifts/abundance. I think that's what it's called. Oh my goodness. Therese, do you know? Or money prayer? Let me see if I can find it really fast. I don't even know it myself. I give you some free gifts that will help you. I wasn't having that open, so bear with me for just 1 second. I'll come back to you. Money. Oh, it's wealth. Here it is. And I'll also give you the eight behaviors you have to adopt, because this is energetic shifting for you here. Let me get this out of the way because that's not right. I put in the side chat. It's LoriSpagna.com/free gifts/wealth. I put that in the sidebar. You get lots of good shifting on money. And this one is going to help you too, the behaviors, right? This is working with the aspect that I said is changing our behaviors, right? Taking right actions. The 8 behaviors you must adopt in the 5th dimension, which is new paradigm, right? LoriSpagna.com/free gifts/8 behaviors. Those will be helpful for you. But this is the key, Marianne. Go back and listen to this again, because that was a lot of coaching in 5 minutes, or 7 minutes or 8 minutes, whatever long we've been doing here. But the key is to understand all those aspects are things your soul's agenda is desiring for you to work with. I mean, I got to it pretty fast there in 10 minutes to get to that much stuff. Not only is there some really good practices for you to start so you can sell your house, but I wouldn't even go there if I were you first, because the truth is, you're in conflict over selling that house. That's why you're not going to sell the house. You have to come out of the conflict. One of the things that I'm teaching about inside the Sacred Visionary Mentorship in the upcoming month is, and I'm going to do a podcast. I'm really excited because I'm going to be offering a podcast where I'm going to be working on this stuff. But the idea is that you have these desires of things you want, like in your case, Marianne, you want to sell the house and you want to move to the country, and yet your core need is to be and feel safe and secure. And your core need is to avoid pain, which for you is the fear of the unknown. Fear, it scares you. You said it. So these things in conflict are preventing you from having the experience that you desire, which is why you long to move to the country, right? What are all the reasons that you truly desire to move to the country? And you need to really get clear on those, and you need to start getting clear. Is my need to avoid my fear? Avoidance of the fear of it scares you, the fear of not feeling safe. That's what's blocking you from having the experience that you desire. So is that more powerful for you? Or is the desire of living in the country and all the things that will bring about, that's more expansive for you? Is that more powerful? Which one are you giving your power to? And again, this is not something that we would solve in my circles on the mental plane. We would energetically really shift this for you so that you can more rightly align. If you don't know how to work with fear, that's a major thing I teach about, how to process fear. Because fear is the energy of entrapment. And it's trapping people. It's a trap, but it's just energy, right? It's just a bunch of energy. It has no power over you, except for that you've allowed it to be yours. You've owned it. It's like somebody handing you, I'm going to use an example of a fur coat, because to me, that is the most disgusting thing that exists. I'm in judgment, I get it. But to maim and slaughter an animal just for their fur is, to me, I am in judgment, I own it, but it's the most disgusting, repulsive thing. And let's just take that fur coat painted with blood by someone who doesn't like it, and then them giving it to you and saying, here, wear this, and you just put it on. That's your fear. You're like, yeah, I'll just wear this dead animal blood coat covered in the fear and pain and suffering of this animal. That's what the energy of fear is. And you can easily take it off, but you don't know that you can take it off because you've been living in it for so long. But that's a practice I will give you. Just every time that fear comes around, go, oh, there you are. Dead animal coat full of fear and blood and suffering. I'm just not choosing you anymore. There's a better coat for me. I'm going to have the coat of many colors. Know that story in the Bible? Joseph and the coat of many colors. Is that what it is? Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's in the Bible. Anyway, just get rid of that coat. Just start shedding it. And every time you take that coat off, raise it up to God and say, take this old fear from me now, please. Thank you. Just start envisioning it that way. Okay, energetically, we work with a little more powerful than that, but it takes much more than I have time for during our call. Start to recognize that your fear is just energy. That is what I gave you that example, because it's yucky, it's upsetting, it's painful, but it is nothing more than an energy that you have surrounded yourself in, and it's up to you to start saying, no more, not interested, done with this fear. As for being and feeling safe, you need to start evaluating what safety really means to you, because safety is not about where you live. Safety is about who you are. Safety is vibration and energy. And again, this is the stuff that I work with in the sacred mentorship, but safety is energetic frequency. This is why I know that every time any form of hurricane or tornado or storm comes and everyone all across the country is calling me, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. And this is why I've been in situations where there were power outages in all the neighbors' houses, and my house had power. Just like over and over again over the years, I have been through this kind of stuff, because safety is where is not where you are, it's who you are. It is your energy. This is why I have no fear, worry, doubt, or concern about entities, demonics, or any of that stuff, because their vibration cannot match my frequency of love, cannot match my frequency of light, and has no power in my field like that. It's as good as going like a flea. This is who you become. I'm not bragging. I hope that doesn't sound like that. I'm helping you to know what's possible for you, because it's within you as much as it's within me. It's within you, and it is within your potential as much as it is within anyone else. Everyone has this potential. Okay. Is this helpful? Does this make sense? Yes? Okay, good. All right. I definitely do a lot of energy shifting calls as well, but this was more like just a coaching call, kind of support call. I hope this has been helpful to the others of you who were here. I know I didn't get to everyone, but Marianne, you were the most vocal. So I worked with you. Therese, I know you are working energetically. Your big thing right now is, I mean, I know we've worked a lot together, right? This is now about you recognizing with the 6 in your birthday. I put this in our group, right? You're working on helping and caring for yourself and your physical needs, and knowing that that is part of your soul's agenda to resolve where you neglected and ignored your own needs. And this is being done for you. This has been done on many, many layers. And interesting, the last layer at this point where it needs to be resolved is the physical. And I know you know that, right? Because we talked about this. So you're going to be making some physical changes in terms of what you're nourishing yourself with. And you have been already making those physical changes in terms of the way you give yourself time and energetic space and permission to rest, to take care. And now it's another shift on that, is just really how you nourish and care for yourself, and the recognition of honoring what your body is asking for and what your body needs. It's a similar part of it, but it's another adjunct. Yeah, I know you know that. Okay, you guys, I am going to wrap for today. I want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be of service and for showing up. I hope you have enjoyed and benefited from this. I will make sure the replay is out as well. I'm sorry that it was so last minute impromptu. I was originally going to do it just in the Facebook group, and then I thought, oh, let me make the link, and then I couldn't stream it. So I will get it into the Facebook, and I will likely also put it on YouTube. I am sending you so much love and gratitude for being here, for being present with me, for being willing and open-minded to up-level and to expand your life and your reality. And I'm wishing you your most benevolent best during the holiday season. Stay tuned for more. I'm looking forward to the time with my podcast. I'm going to be releasing that soon, likely within a month. I cannot wait. We're doing it this week. Yay! And until next time, I'm saying farewell. Okay. Bye-bye for now, you guys.